You finally sat down. No tasks, no obligations, nowhere to be. And instead of feeling relief, you felt guilty. Not a little uncomfortable, guilty. Like you were stealing something. Like rest was something you hadn't earned yet. And the strangest part, you can't explain where that feeling came from. It shows up in small moments. You're lying on the couch on a Saturday afternoon. You're not sick, you're not lazy, you're just tired. But within minutes, your mind starts running a quiet audit. What should I be doing right now? Am I falling behind? Is everyone else being more productive than me? You get up, not because you wanted to, but because the guilt became louder than the exhaustion. This isn't just a habit, this is a pattern, and it runs deeper than most people realize. It shapes how you make decisions. It affects your relationships. When a friend wants to watch a movie, part of you calculates whether you can afford to. It shapes your self-talk. Rest becomes reward. Stillness becomes failure. Psychologists have a name for the belief underneath all of this. It's called contingent self-worth, the unconscious rule that your value as a person is conditional on your output. You don't feel worthy of rest. You feel worthy of rest only after you've done enough. And enough never quite arrives. The question is, where does this come from? And more importantly, is it actually a character flaw, or is it something else entirely? Here's what most people get wrong about this feeling. They think guilt around rest means they're broken, too anxious, too obsessive, too much. But the truth is almost the opposite. This pattern isn't a malfunction, it's an adaptation. At some point in your history, childhood, school, early work life, your brain learned a very clear equation. Doing equals safe, stopping equals danger. Maybe praise only came when you produced something. Maybe stillness in your home felt unpredictable, even unsafe. Maybe you watched someone you loved work themselves to exhaustion and absorbed the message that that's what love looks like. Your nervous system didn't create this guilt to punish you. It created it to protect you. The guilt is an old alarm system, still firing long after the original threat is gone. That distinction matters more than it sounds, because you can't shame yourself out of a survival response, but you can understand it. And understanding is where change actually begins.
Let's go a layer deeper. When you try to rest and feel guilt, two systems in your brain are in conflict. The first is your default mode network, the part of the brain that activates during rest, reflection, and daydreaming. It's not idle. It's doing crucial work, consolidating memory, processing emotion, solving problems in the background. Rest is not the absence of productivity. Neurologically, it is productivity, just invisible. The second system is your threat detection circuitry, centered in the amygdala. When you were conditioned to associate stillness with failure or danger, your amygdala began tagging rest as a mild threat, and mild threats produce low-grade anxiety, which your mind translates into guilt. Here's a simple mental model. Think of your nervous system as a smoke detector. It was calibrated in a different environment, one where the alarm made sense. But now you've moved. The kitchen is safer. The smoke is gone. But the detector hasn't been recalibrated, so it still goes off when you make toast. The guilt you feel when resting, that's the alarm, not evidence that something is wrong, evidence that the detector needs adjusting.
So how do you actually recalibrate? Not with willpower, not with affirmations, with specific psychologically grounded practices. Step 1. Name the belief, not just the feeling. When guilt appears, most people fight the feeling directly. That rarely works. Instead, pause and ask, What rule am I believing right now? Often it sounds like, I only deserve rest after I've earned it. Or, if I stop, something will fall apart. Write it down, literally. Here's why this works in the brain. Naming a belief activates the prefrontal cortex, the rational, observing part of your mind. It creates just enough distance between you and the thought to see that it's a rule, not a fact. Real-life example. You sit down to read for pleasure. Guilt arrives. Instead of pushing through or giving up, you write, I believe I haven't done enough to deserve this. That single sentence makes the invisible visible. Step 2. Schedule rest without negotiation. Not rest if I finish everything. Scheduled rest, non-negotiable. Behavioral psychology calls this commitment devices, structures that remove the need for willpower in the moment. When rest is planned, your brain doesn't have to evaluate whether you've earned it. The decision has already been made. Real-life example. Block Sunday mornings as untouchable, not for errands, not for planning, just for whatever restores you. The first few weeks, guilt will still show up, but the structure holds you in place long enough for the nervous system to begin learning stillness is safe here. Step 3. Distinguish between tired and lazy. These feel identical from the inside, but they have completely different physiological signatures. Laziness, in the rare cases it actually exists, comes with low motivation and high energy. True tiredness comes with low motivation and low energy. If you're exhausted and forcing yourself to keep going, you're not being disciplined, you're depleting your cognitive resources, what psychologists call ego depletion, and making future decisions worse. Real-life example. Next time you feel the urge to push through fatigue, do a simple check. Is my body also tired or just my mind resisting? If both, rest is the rational choice, not the weak one. Step 4. Introduce restorative identity. This one is subtle but powerful. Research on identity-based behavior shows that the most durable changes come from shifting who you believe you are, not just what you do. Start telling yourself, quietly, without performance, I'm someone who recovers well. Not, I deserve rest. That still implies you have to earn it. I recover well frames rest as a capability, something your identity includes, not something you have to justify. Real-life example. An athlete who rests doesn't say, I'm being lazy today. They say, this is part of my training. You can borrow that frame. Rest is part of how you function at your best, not a retreat from your life, a condition of it.
Here's the mental model to carry with you. Think of your energy like the tide. It goes out, it comes back. That's not failure, that's the system working. The guilt you feel during rest is a miscalibrated alarm built to protect you in an environment that no longer exists. The work isn't to silence the alarm through force. It's to slowly show your nervous system through experience that the water receding isn't a disaster. It's just the tide going out, so it can come back. You don't need to fix your relationship with rest overnight. You just need to start questioning the oldest rule you never agreed to, that your worth lives in your output. It doesn't. It never did. It was a story told to you before you were old enough to question it, and you've been running on that story ever since. Rest isn't laziness. It isn't something you earn at the end of the week. It's part of being human, part of being a mind that needs stillness as much as it needs motion. The next time you sit down and the guilt comes, and it will come, you don't have to obey it. You can simply notice it, name it, and stay seated anyway. That's not weakness. That's the slow, quiet work of becoming free.